It's time for inductions, and I'm going to introduce my fellow track historian, Bill Wright.
Thank you, Eric, and welcome to everybody. This is always one of my favorite events of the year. All of us know 90%, 90% of the people in here, and it's just, this is the close-knit community that is Knoxville Raceway, and it's always great to be here and to celebrate our own who we're inducting here in the Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame. My name, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bill Wright. I've been working for the track here for almost 20 years now. But I'm also the museum coordinator over at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. So we have our own inductions in June. That's probably the biggest thing that people get confused with when they come in. And they say, Donnie Saunders in this National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. And I say, no, he's across the track at the Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame. We have 2 Hall of Fames, so we're really lucky to be able to do that. Our banquet, of course, is really formal, semi-formal the week after the Indy 500, but this one is much more casual. And a lot of that has to do with me hosting it. I'm a casual person, so hopefully you can bear with us here, and we'll get you out of here in good time. It's such a nice day outside. Yeah, we could have. Yeah. All questions go towards the back corner back there. Okay. My last name's Wright. I was always last for everything in the alphabet whenever we did anything in school. So we're going to go in reverse order today. And this is my personal gift to Chris Walraven. All right, so he's going to go first. Chris started in the 360 class in 1989. He picked up 3 wins a couple years later. He made the jump to 410s in 93, and he won Rookie of the Year that way. We always remember Chris as a great qualifier. He set quick time 10 times in the 410 class, including with the World Outlaws one time and with the All-Stars one time. He still owns the 10th fastest qualifying lap on record still today, with 14.593 in 2006, and that was a crazy night if I remember. He did win a 410 feature on June 29th of 96. He also racked up 4 wins and 12 quick times in the 305 class and went 15 consecutive seasons with perfect attendance here at Knoxville. So I know he lived in town. Let's give him a round of applause for that, the perfect attendance. Chris and Bronson both are just 2 of just 6 drivers in the history of the Knoxville Raceway to win in the 3 classes that we run, 305, 360, and 410. So that's quite an accomplishment as well. And Chris, you're standing beside me. I was going to call you up.
Hey, thanks for the reverse alphabet thing there, buddy.
Yeah, he thanked me for the reverse alphabet. We all benefit from that. Congratulations on this. This is just a very minor list of your accomplishments here at Knoxville. I like to talk about also, you helping out other people, and I see Scotty Johnson's here. I know you helped him get started, and I know Scotty's excited to get going again here eventually, but you won Sportsman of the Year and things like that over the years. Yeah, Josh over here too. So talk about that a little bit and what Knoxville Raceway means to you.
I really like helping out the young guys, and it's an honor. It keeps the sport going, and I love putting these cars together. I mean, I just still do it to this day. They're the coolest thing you could ever hope to get your hands on as a mechanic, I guess. So get to play with carbon fiber and titanium and all that cool fun stuff. And so I like to mentor Scotty, and he had a tremendous season last year, and it makes you feel great.
Talk about what the Raceways maybe meant to you, your life. I know it kind of consumes us at times, but talk about what it meant to you growing up.
Well, the funny thing about me that probably a lot of people in this room may not know, but I did not, a lot of people were second generation drivers, and they'd been around it their whole life, and I was quite the opposite. My dad was a drag race guy, so my dad He took me to 2 dirt tracks and
Battery looks good. Let's see here.
I'm sorry, I broke it. So he took me to 2 dirt tracks growing up. One of which was neither was Knoxville. I went to Oskaloosa once, and I went to the Iowa State Fair Speedway once and seen stock cars. And so I didn't come here till August 14, 1985. Happened to be the first race I ever went to was the Nationals. So you talk about hooked. It was really cool. So I've been coming back ever since. So, but I didn't know. I mean, I sit in Section D. I didn't understand why you put the big tire on the right rear and the little one on the left rear. I was like, what's up with that? I mean, I knew nothing about sprint cars. So it was a big learning curve.
Yeah, that's a cool story, and I was the same way. My family was not really a racing family, but I just got hooked on it when I came down here. You got any stories about any of these other people going in today?
Well, this is kind of looks like a G or maybe a PG crowd, so we got to be careful here. But I got one about Bronson, and I'm sure he'll pay me back when he gets up here. But it was about the first day I met Bronson. A friend of ours brought him by the race shop, race day, coming over Saturday afternoon. We were loading up, going to Knoxville. And this kid, I don't know how old he was, but I don't think he'd been shaven very long. I think, not sure he drove there. I know he didn't drive there by himself. Maybe he could have, but I don't know. But anyway, so putting us back in time, he gets there and he shakes my hand, and great kid. And we're loading the car up, and I was fortunate enough to have 2 cars together that era. And he looks over at the other car in the shop, and he says, well, what are you going to do with that car? And I'm like, it's our spare. And he goes, well, why wouldn't you put me in that car? And I'd known the kid for like 5 minutes. So that took some guts.
Yeah. Well, I want to congratulate you. This is a great honor here in the Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame. And let's give him a round of applause. Chris Walraven.
And I got a quick list. I'd like to thank the people that were. There's so many, I can't thank them all. First my family, Lorna, Trent, and Seth. Trent couldn't be here. I'd like to thank all the sponsors over all the years that make this sport happen. I'd like to thank all my crew guys, which were all volunteer, basically worked for beer. And too many to name, but thank all of you. Like to thank Mike and Sherry Turner. Like to thank Steve Beelers, Butch Smith, Sean Goodnow, who's racing over in Wisconsin. I'd like to thank Brent Geetings. Like to thank Mike Vanderecken, who I don't believe is here, and Corey Johnson. Thank you guys. Wouldn't be possible without all of you.
All right. One more time. Next up, we have Randy Rowley. Randy started as a push truck driver in '77, and he would also serve as a track official for 35 years. He has since returned to driving a push truck and has served a total of 47 years at the Knoxville Raceway. He has organized hamburger and hot dog feeds for the push truck drivers, opened his home to race fans to have a place to stay, and he came up with the idea for the push trucks to participate in the 4-wide parade lap at the Knoxville Nationals that has become a tradition on Saturday night. And we've added the four-wheelers and everything else in there since then. And Randy's a man of many words, so we'll come on over here. We got to get you in camera here. But Randy, congratulations on this. And I know it's got to be special to go in with some of the people that you've been around the last 47 years.
It is real special. I know about every one of them that just got in, and it's a privilege for me to have this.
Now, talk about a typical night for a push truck driver. You know, a lot of fans don't really think about that, but without them, it isn't going to happen. So talk about the dedication it takes to be one of those drivers who comes here week in and week out.
We have approximately 30 push trucks every night, and that was the goal when I first started it over. When I first started, we only had two-wheel drive pickups, and now everybody has a four-wheel drive. So it's been a privilege to knowing and meeting all the new people, the drivers. It's just a pleasure to work here.
Yep. Are there some people you'd like to thank along the way that have been by your side through the whole thing?
Well, I'd like to thank the Fair Board, all the race fans, and the dedicated race car drivers that travel to get here.
All right. Randy, I won't make you talk too much, but congratulations to you, Randy Rowley. Bronson Maeschen competed here from 2004 to 2017. He won the first ever 305 sprint car race here. And I remember this very well. He won the first time he ever sat in a race car at the non-wing 305 event in Oskaloosa in 2003. He competed in the 360 class for 2 seasons and won 1 feature before jumping to the 410s in 2006. He would improve steadily, earning Most Improved Driver twice, and then drive to his first 2 feature wins in 2012, including the inaugural Capitani Classic. In 2013, he would win his 3rd feature and capture the track championship. He set quick time in the 410 class 17 times and qualified for 1 Knoxville Nationals A-Main in 2008, and 6 times qualified for the 360 Nationals. So that's Bronson Maeschen. Bronson, I haven't seen you for a while. What have you been up to lately?
Making babies. No, anyhow, we got a 6-month-old, so we're just proud, having fun with the family. They're starting to play some sports and farming. So anyhow, that's what we're up to.
All right. Talk about we can talk about your career a little bit. Talk about that race at Oskaloosa. I remember that. I don't think it was a 24-car field, but still, I mean, it's your first time in a sprint car, and you decide to go without. You decide to race without the wing. So, talk about getting in the car and what that felt like at the time.
Yeah, so I always wanted to be at Knoxville, but that was when they first even talked about 305. So they were starting a new class down there, and it appeared to be, for a 19-year-old kid with a small brain, it appeared to be a more feasible place to go. So we got we had some people help, obviously, and got that together, and there was a 410 winged race, and I just remember I was just thrilled to be at that drivers meeting. Watch the big dogs were up there, so just standing there pretending I was part of them was just a real thrill. But anyway, yeah, it was kind of a limited field, but Bobby Thompson, which I think's a Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken, he was there, and his car wasn't running as good as stuff. But anyway, yeah, we hit the fence in the heat, but we kept the wheels on the ground, and the engine ran better than everybody else's, and so we picked up a win right out the gate, and I wasn't smart enough to quit on top and go home forever, so I was hooked, though.
Well, you came to Knoxville and you won the first 305 race here, too.
Yeah, I think that was the next year they decided to have one here, so we were I started racing 360s here that year, so we were in good shape, I guess, I still had that motor, so we put it in, and so yeah, I guess that motor was a special motor. Denny Verben ended up buying it, and I guess it won all the first 305 races around then.
Well, Walraven had some words for you. Do you got anything for him, or?
Well, I don't know. He's worried about keeping it G-rated. I don't know I mean. I've been out at the campgrounds and stuff, waiting for the sun to come out with him a few times, but I don't know. We were probably still trying to figure out how to make a car go faster. It's the silly part, so I don't know. We usually didn't get that much smarter at that point, though.
If anybody saw Billy Alley's here a few years ago, we're not G-rated here, by the way. But talk about moving up into the 410 class, growing up here. That was always your goal.
Yeah, so, similar to Chris, we went to the races being from around here, but nobody else had raced in the family and stuff, so, but was lucky enough to be born by Knoxville, or however you want to look at that. We all look at it that way, but the rest of the world thinks we're nuts, I suppose. But anyway, that was always the goal to be here. So yeah, I was thrilled to keep, I guess, moving through, getting to do everything in order, and raced 360s a couple years and got to win in that the second year, which was a real thrill too. And then it took longer in the 410s for sure, but it was fun to get a race at that level and have that much power for sure.
Well, talk about the people that you need to thank for being here.
Yeah, for sure. All of my family, you know, obviously couldn't have done it without them, parents, and for not shutting it down or anything at least. And they always worked with me, you know. We still work to this day, farming together and stuff. And for sure, Sierra she was my girlfriend when this started. And, you know, when you're a young guy racing in the pits, there's some other ladies that come by from time to time. And she's loyal. She's a real loyal person, and she made sure that nothing ever drifted. And which, that's a pretty good judgment, I guess. I'm still in love with her to this day. For sure. So anyway, yeah, all of them for sure. And as far as, you know, Chris Walraven and Glenn Freeland both was a pretty big part of my career. As Chris said, I come by his place, maybe being a little mouthy, but I was serious. I did want to race, and he helped me a lot. I'd maybe go over there and buy some parts off of him on a Thursday afternoon, and then 4 hours later I'd be, you know, leaving because we just talked that much. And he definitely taught me a lot about putting cars together right and really doing things the right way, and that for sure makes a difference on speed. And then yeah, Glenn believed in me at a young age, and ended up on my team at a couple different times over the years, and definitely appreciate that. And everybody for that matter. You know, the Jordans, I raced with them a few years, and there's a Bingham guy over here he loves this racetrack, and he was helping promote me and the track both, and for years. And but yeah, all the guys getting dirty. Jeremy Rankin, and Dennis is here. Steve Renfro, and me and that guy had fight up and down on the road in the truck, but it's just because it's just for fun the way we were. There was guys that go with us not know quite how to take us, but we were having a good time and keeping our chests stuck out. So anyway, and then anybody, you know, I'd drag anybody, not drag them along, but you know, went with a lot of different people, my brother and you know, whatever. We went to places, stayed in crappy hotels and whatever to try to get better and live the dream, I guess. So, yeah, this is pretty neat. It's worked out as good as it has.
All right. Well, congratulations to you, and you're in, bud. All right. Bronson Maeschen. Next up is our buddy Don Long. Don caught the racing bug in his teenage years watching jalopies race and has been a race fan ever since. He has been the owner of Searsboro Telephone Company since 1974, a privately held phone company serving the small towns in central Iowa, primarily Searsboro, Linville, and Kilduff. Don has used his business success to help numerous local drivers over the years financially. He has been a car owner at different points over the years, but has primarily been a sponsor and supplier of 360 engines to different teams and drivers. His engines have won multiple 360 Knoxville Nationals and track championships. I guess you're currently sponsoring Garrett Williamson, Joe Beaver. You know, you've sponsored McCarles here the last few years. Brian Brown for a long time, Aaron Reitzel, and Don has been a long-time supporter, which is important to me, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum. We're glad to have you there every Saturday night, and everything that you've done for us around the community with real estate and everything else. So we want to thank you for that. So how's it feel to be up here in this Hall of Fame?
Well, I tell everybody, you know, some people have fun like I did all through life, and they end up in jail. I gone through life and had fun, and I'm getting an award. So that's kind of an interesting deal, you know. I've just enjoyed my life and time around here so much.
And not only here at Knoxville, but, you know, I've seen you down in Missouri, you know, helping some of those guys. Jonathan Cornell, I don't think we mentioned him. He was a big guy that you supported too. And I think you just enjoy, if I look at it, you enjoy the young talent and seeing them and helping them get to the next level. Is that really, am I hitting the right mark there?
Yeah, it's interesting to watch these guys progress, and you know, some of them got talent and some of them don't, but the ones that do, it's really great to watch them go through, you know.
Yep. Absolutely, and I know you have somebody special to thank that puts up with you.
Well, my wife, Margaret, definitely, definitely. And thanks for everybody that made life enjoyable for me.
Well, congratulations to you, and this is well-deserved, and your plaque will be here under the grandstands forever. Great. All right.
Thank you.
As long as they were there. All right, Don Long. All right, Glenn Freeland's been turning wrenches for 30 seasons in the Knoxville pit area. He racked up wins and track championships with multiple drivers. Terry McCarl, of course, a couple championships there, 360 Nationals. And Jesse Giannetto, he got a 360 Nationals win with him. He tacked on one with Bronson Maeschen. Bronson mentioned that earlier. His skills also helped drivers such as Johnny Anderson, who's here today, and Brett Golick to victories. Rest in peace, Brett Golick. He also served as Knoxville Raceway Technical Director in 2020 and 2021. I didn't know where that was going at the time, but did you enjoy?
Not very much. I've never had my butt chewed so much in my entire life. It was horrible. That's why I don't do it anymore. It was terrible.
Well, after you do that, it probably keeps you from chewing other people's butts when you're turning wrenches again after you've been in that position. But talk about it over the years, Glenn. Where'd you get that bug for racing?
So my dad started racing in Burlington back in 1979 or 80, somewhere around in there. And so we ran sprint cars over there, and then we moved to Florida, and there was no sprint car racing. And then I moved up here because that's where the sprint car racing was. So that's kind of where I got the bug.
Bug came from 34 Raceway and over at Burlington there, and very good. Talk about some of your memories here at Knoxville.
Oh, my Lord, where do I start? Bronson and the cooler full of beer. That's one of my favorite memories of the whole wide world. He's like, we're either going to drink all these beers because we're happy, or we're going to drink all these beers because we're not. But 7 cases of beer is what it takes to fill up a cooler. We had 0 room for ice, but yeah, that was a great time. And then, I pretty well helped. I don't think I ever helped Cram. That's the only one on the list that I didn't help. But I helped Walraven a couple times, and I worked for Bronson for a couple years, and I just been here for a long time, and I just love it. So now I'm helping Fast Jack, right? And we're gonna win a lot of races, right, Jack? That boy.
Put it on you, Glenn.
Oh, it's on me now. It's my fault. I put it on Johnny. It's Johnny's fault.
This conversation has been going on with different drivers for years with Glenn. But Glenn, I was going to mention that, you always seem like somebody who will help out. You'll be able to help out anybody and anything that they need, even if they're not necessarily your driver. We go in the work area and someone comes into the work area, those types of things. You're one of the first ones I remember seeing out there.
Well, we're a big family. Like, I want to beat somebody on the racetrack, not in the pit area. So, we want to go help everybody and be a big, because I want your help when I need it. So that's kind of how you do things. And if you do that the right way, then everything comes back to you just kind of the way it goes.
Who would you like to thank here?
Well, I'd like to thank my sister Candy, who came all the way from California, my mom from Florida, my buddy Jackson, definitely the guy way back there, one of my favorites, and the other guy right across from him. These guys have helped me. They've been my helpers for, hey, guys, groove the tires, because I didn't want to do that, right? And I want to thank Bronson for 3 great years. Terry McCarl, of course. He's the dumbass that drug me up here. Jesse Giannetto. Marcia, of course. I think that's it.
All right. He gets emotional at the end.
Before I start crying.
All right. Glenn Freeland. Last but not least, Travis. And you always got to go first in school, so I don't feel too bad about that. All right. Travis Cram came to Knoxville in 1996, of course, from Washington State, and he competed here weekly through the 2004 season. He was the 96th Rookie of the Year in the 410s and accumulated 9 feature wins in the class. He finished fourth in points in 02, 03, 04. He also won 2 305 features and qualified for the 2007 Knoxville Nationals A-Main. And I'd like to tell a little personal story about Travis. When I first started riding and stuff like that, I just went by Bill W. I was kind of anonymous, and people didn't know who I was. So I went up to Travis one day in the pit area, and I said, do you know who Bill W. is? Because I'm going to kind of introduce myself. And he goes, yeah, that's so-and-so. He can't ride anything. I said, yeah, he really sucks. So I didn't tell him that day, but I still remember that. I was thinking, yeah, he's probably right about that. But Travis, this is a really well-deserved honor for you. You're a staple here at the Knoxville Raceway. You've stayed in the community and lived here, and I want to congratulate you for that. Talk about that decision that it was to come from Washington State.
Well, growing up, I remember fueling up our tow rig 5 miles from Skagit Speedway, and people ask them where we raced that dune buggy thing at. So, growing up in a racing family, my uncle told me early on, if you want to take your racing serious, you're going to have to head out of Washington, go back to the Midwest or Pennsylvania, and really make a go of it there. So, growing up, if you're into baseball, young kid, you dream of playing at Yankee Stadium. Was somebody growing up in sprint cars, you dream of coming to Knoxville Raceway. And can't believe this honor, can't believe we made it to Knoxville to begin with, and then to be up here on this stage. It's a great honor.
And for those of you who don't know, his uncle is Fred Brownfield, and Fred's in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame as a promoter, as he did in the Northwest part of the United States. Well earned, and we lost him way too soon. But I know you learned a lot from him. Most of what you learned in sprint cars.
I did. I'll never forget my first time behind the wheel of a sprint car. I kind of. For those that didn't get to see my uncle race, he was somebody that put it up on the fence, usually all four above the cushion. And I'll never forget my first time behind the wheel. I was just happy to be out there and tooling around the bottom, and come in after the races. My uncle came down and kind of gave me a stern pep talk. How many races you ever see me win? Running around the bottom, and that kind of ruined me from there on out. And I decided my career was all about hitting the fence.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody here remembers you ever being on the bottom of the track, but you also brought along a crew chief, and she stayed here too.
If you're referring to my sister, yeah, she came out with her being in college when I first started racing out here. She'd come spend the summers, and then later as a school teacher with the summers off, and then I actually went out to California to race for a team out there the day after my sister arrived in town. So I basically gave her my key to the house that me and Russ Prather were sharing together in Knoxville, and I left for California, and when I got back, she had started hanging out with Joe Beaver, and the rest was history.
Well, there you go. Who are some of the people you'd like to thank for this and along the way?
Well, it's a long list. I can't really name everybody, but my whole family supported me. My wife and my two daughters. I know my wife took a lot of heat when I stepped away from racing. A lot of people assumed she tried to make me quit, but actually it was the opposite. She was afraid I'd want to move her back west to Washington if I walked away from racing. So she by no means was the one that pushed me away from racing. It was just the right time to step away and focus on family. But, I've got a lot of people that showed up here that supported me through the years, and just a lot of friends and adopted family in this community, and it's hard to get away from here once you've showed up and get adopted into this community. It's a great place, Knoxville Raceway. You guys have a lot to be proud of here.
Yep, and you do have a long list because you drove for a lot of owners over the years, and I wouldn't want you to forget anybody. Congratulations to you. Like I said, it's well-deserved, and Travis Cram, everybody.
By the way, Bill, you were an excellent rider. Sometimes I was just a little too high-strung, hot-headed kid back then, but you were an excellent rider.
All right. I wasn't as good when I started as I ended up. All right. Again, I want to thank everybody that is here, and I'll let Eric kind of close out things. And we do want a group photo over here, okay? If you were an inductee today, they'd like a group photo over here if you can get over there.
And then please take a moment to deal with Mike Roberts and Derek Cardwell from KNIA. That's it. Thanks to everybody for coming. Appreciate it. And yeah, feel free to take family photos as soon as we're done with the group photo. Thank you.